Hi, I'm Elizabeth at A Literary Princess, and today I have another book haul. Shocking! So I actually have books from 3 different places. I went to Barnes & Noble in a little impromptu visit with my mother after a wedding dress fitting. We went book shopping, it was fun. And then I have 2 that I got for free from my in-laws, and then several that I bought from Thrift books for my exams. So let's jump right in. First up is one that I have actually already read that you heard me talk about in either February or March, can't quite remember anymore. This is The World Cannot Give by Tara Isabella Burton. This deals with a young woman named Laura who goes off to a boarding school and falls in with this group that's in the choir who kind of all revolve around Virginia Strauss, who is this very aloof student who is obsessed with becoming world historical, as she calls it, and Laura becomes obsessed with her, and this is so good. This might end up being one of my favorite books of the year. I think it's highly likely. I enjoyed it so much. I need my own copy, like a physical copy, because I have the ARC on Kindle. So this was kind of the main reason that I was like, let's go to Barnes & Noble. So yeah, I'm really excited to have a physical copy of this. I hope I'll get to reread it soon, but probably not because exam reading, but you know. So next up, I was at Barnes & Noble anyway, so of course I'm gonna buy more books. Duh. And I was drawn to this by the cover, completely picked it up on a whim. This is The Shadow in the Glass by J.J.A. Harwood. I think those are initials there and not like a name. If you're more familiar with this author, let me know because I don't really know. So yeah, completely on a whim, I saw just a table of these. I was like, ooh, cover pretty. And then it says it's a gothic twist on Cinderella. And I was like, gimme, gothic and fairy tale retelling, gimme, gimme, gimme. So I picked this up. The back says, once upon a time, Ella had wished for more than life as a lowly maid, now forced to work hard under the unforgiving, lecherous gaze of the man she once called stepfather. Ella's only refuge is in the books she reads by candlelight, secreted away in the library she isn't permitted to enter. One night, among her beloved books of far-off lands, Ella's wishes are answered. At the stroke of midnight, a fairy godmother makes her an offer that will change her life. 7 wishes, hers to make as she pleases. But each wish comes at a price, and Ella must decide whether it's one she's willing to pay. This sounds so good. I know nothing about it. I have not read any reviews of it. Literally was just like cover pretty gothic Cinderella mine. So I'm really excited to get to this and see what it's like. All right, and now we have the 2 that I got from my in-laws. So first up is a book of short stories by Rudyard Kipling. I need this for my exams, and the fact that it was like just there was like, oh. So my exams recently underwent a major overhaul. I had to add a lot of things to my lists, with this being one of them. But I've actually read quite a few of these short stories before in my post-colonial literature class, but I was so happy to see this there. I was like, nice. Now I don't have to buy it or get it from the library or read them online. It unfortunately doesn't seem to have any of the ones from the Jungle Book, but it does have his kind of gothic colonial tales, which I did a paper on actually. So that was kind of exciting. And look at how pretty it is. It's an Everyman's Library copy. And yeah, my in-laws are just like, we're trying to get rid of books here. I was like, okay. I'll take it. Look at how nice that looks. Oh. And then the other one I got from them is Middlesex by Jeffrey Eugenides. So I read his 2 books, The Virgin Suicides and The Marriage Plot, and I really loved them. So when I saw this, I was like, oh, hey, I'll take it. On the back says, Middlesex tells the breathtaking story of Calliope Stephanides. I'm probably butchering that. And 3 generations of the Greek-American Stephanides family who travel from a tiny village overlooking Mount Olympus in Asia Minor to Prohibition-era Detroit, witnessing its glory days as the Motor City and the race riots of 1967 before they move out to the tree-lined streets of suburban Grosse Pointe, Michigan. To understand why Calliope is not like other girls, she has to uncover a guilty family secret and the astonishing genetic history that turns Callie into Cal, one of the most audacious and wondrous narrators in contemporary fiction. So, it sounds really good. I'm excited to get to it eventually when my exams are over, but I have it now, so that makes it more likely, right? All right, and now we get into the ones that I bought from Thrift Books for my exams. First up is Phoebe Jr. by Margaret Oliphant. I think you probably know already I love Margaret Oliphant. I read 2 of hers for my independent study last year, and they are on my exam list, and I decided let's put another one on there. So I got Phoebe Jr., which is the final book in her Chronicles of Carlingford series, of which Miss Marchbanks is also a part of. So, I guess I'll read the back for this too. In this, the final volume of Mrs. Oliphant's compelling saga, we return to the familiar streets of Carlingford. Here are Phoebe Jr., whose arrival in Carlingford sets tongues wagging, for surely this elegant young lady cannot be the granddaughter of Mr. Tozer, the local tradesman. Mr. May, the incumbent of St. Roch's, who is struggling to keep himself on a pedestal without a wife to support his fancies. His daughter Ursula, who manages the household, and Papa, who is more difficult than the servant and more troublesome than the children. Reginald May, who is determined that, despite local opinion, his acceptance of a sinecure? I don't know how that's pronounced. S-I-N-E-C-U-R-E. Somebody tell me in the comments. Will not detract from his ideals of service. Horace Northcote, a vigorous champion of the dissenters of Salem Chapel. Mr. Copperhead, a self-made gentleman who parades his wealth along with his insolence. And his son Clarence, a perfectly useless specimen of humanity. Mrs. Oliphant. I love her. These are the main protagonists of Phoebe Jr., a magnificent panorama of Victorian society. Here, reputations and livelihoods are threatened and recovered, religious prejudices fought and conquered, and amours sought and won. It sounds so good, and it's pretty short. It's only like less than 350 pages, which is like, wow, because usually Victorian novels are, well, you'll see another one in a minute. So yeah, I'm really excited to get to this one. I hate the sticker in the corner as usual, but yeah. Hey, and then we have Marriage by Susan Ferrier. So this one was recommended by Alana Estelle recently in an underrated classics video, and it had come across my radar before. I had it on my Goodreads TBR, but after hearing her talk about it, I was like, I need to pick this up. So it is the shrewdly observant and humorous tale of young women making their marriage choices and having to live with the consequences. Charting the lives of 2 generations, the novel centers on Mary, a Scottish heroine whose wisdom contrasts with her foolish mother and rash sister. She leaves her domestic haven in the Highlands to brave the perils of faraway Bath in a reversal of the traditional coming-of-age narrative. So she was a contemporary of Jane Austen and Maria Edgeworth. So I'm so excited to get to this, and I managed to sneak it onto my exam lists. I am so pleased with myself. So one of the many changes to my exam list is that my Victorian era list is now just the long 19th century, which enabled me to put this on here because this was published in 1818. So yeah, it's been expanded quite a bit, and that will be reflected in my next book haul because I have more coming. But yeah, I'm so excited for this and so excited that I made it work for my exams. All right, and next up is one that I already have a copy of, but that I got a new copy of because I hate my old copy. And I think I mentioned this in my bookshelf tour. This is Bleak House by Charles Dickens. Remember when I said most Victorian novels are long? Yeah, this guy. Look at this guy. Oh my goodness. So I've read Bleak House twice before, actually. And it's not that I dislike the story. I actually really like the story. And you know what? The 2004 or 2005 miniseries is really good. My problem with it is that there's two narrators. We have Esther, who does a first-person narration, and then we have this third-person omniscient narrator. I'm like, Dickens, stick to one. Stop. I don't like multiple first-person narrators. Yes, fine. You're switching me from third person to first person. I'm gonna get mad real quick. And that is my feelings on Bleak House. But I did hate my copy a lot. It's up here. I showed it. It's old. It's kind of falling apart. So I wanted a nice copy. I went with the Oxford University Press copy because the Penguin one was only offered as new. And I didn't want to pay that. But I do like the Oxford ones quite a bit too. And I'm thinking I might now have enough to do a whole shelf of them on here, just like I do with my Penguins. So we'll see. Next up, I have the selected poems of Robert Browning. So Robert Browning is on my exam list. I thought he was going to be one of the only poetry people on there because originally it was just him, Elizabeth Barrett Browning, Christina Rossetti, and Dante Gabriel Rossetti. And then one of my committee members happened, and now I have a lot of poetry on there. So I probably could have just used the ones that I have in my Norton anthology and not bought a whole collection, but they had the Penguin one, which I like, and I actually like Robert Browning quite a bit. Oh, somebody annotated it. Interesting. Anyway, so yeah, I bought it. It's here. And then last but certainly not least, I have Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. So I had mentioned that I had Frankenstein, Dracula, and Jekyll and Hyde in like a bind up that was just hideous. It was so ugly. It was a mass market paperback edition. The cover was disgusting. Like, ugh. And so when I was making my list, I bought Dracula and Jekyll and Hyde in Penguin editions because I needed them for my exams, and I was like, I'm not using this ugly copy anymore. But I held off on Frankenstein because it wasn't on my lists. But now that I'm doing the long 19th century, it's on my list. So I got it, and now I can get rid of my ugly copy. And it has a sticker. I tried to get it off, it won't come off. Why do people do this to me? So those are the books that I have gotten recently, whether I bought them or was given them. So let me know down in the comments below. Have you read any of them? What did you think? What is the latest book that you bought? It's been great chatting with you all. I will see you soon. Bye.